Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. Sorry for that short interruption. Um, before before the power went out, and I want to apologize for that disruption. Before the power went out, I had recognized Representative Ed Probst to begin his line of questioning, so we will continue with him.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Palacios and your counsel, Mr. Gregory. Uh, we are ready to continue. The last question that I asked before it went dark, if I may repeat it, and my question was, Ms. Palacios, to your knowledge, has the Department of Finance ever withheld travel advances or otherwise imposed any penalties on the governor for his failure to provide a trip report after completing off-island travel as required by law? Has he ever been? And I believe you. I'm sorry. Did you answer that question? You did. Okay. Your memory's there. So I'm sorry. If you could just answer the question once again.
I'm for I'm not. I mean, if the governor comes back and file the vouchers, all the boarding pass and everything is attached to it, and if the governor has an overdrawn uh, um, money, we did pay reduction on him also.
Thank you. And reason why I'm asking about, with regard to the trip reports, as stated in um, 1 CMC 7407 letter B, states that
Yeah.
the traveler shall submit a detailed trip report and documented travel expenditures to the approving authority. Um, from the documents that we have reviewed and requested for uh, through all the documents that we went through, well over 100 travel authorizations, everything, I think there were perhaps less than 5 actual trip reports. So I'm just wondering if that was something that you may have observed, that the governor was failing to provide trip reports for all of these travel authorizations for each travel.
It's not only the governor that's not submitting a lot of travel reports, but a lot of travelers are not filing trip reports. But as long as they support with boarding pass and other, we will entertain the travel voucher.
Mhm. Okay. So prior to me reading 7407, 1 CMC 7407, were you familiar with the prohibition on first class travel for government employees?
No?
Had anyone ever brought it up to your attention or to anyone?
Yes. Yes.
So it had been brought up,
Yes.
but by who, or who brought this up?
Public auditor,
Public auditor.
Travis Hurst.
Okay, so Mr. Hurst brought this up and brought it to your attention.
Yes.
What was the outcome from that?
I never did certify after that.
Okay, so each time after that, you would not sign off for
No.
first class travel. Is that correct?
No.
Who would sign off if you wouldn't sign for it?
Secretary of Finance.
Um, would that be Miss Larson at the
Yes.
time,
Yes.
and then after her, Mr. Atelig?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Um, with what date was that, or roughly when was this that the Office of the Public Auditor, from the Office of the Public Auditor, Mr. Hurst met? Do you recall roughly when that was?
2 years ago or some.
So, like around 2019 then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And just for clarification, earlier when we were discussing things regarding the travel for First Lady Diane Torres, did did you mention? I just want to clarify this. Did you mention that you had not seen her travel authorizations?
Yes, I'm not sure.
Okay. Um, so who would sign off on Miss Torres's First Lady Torres of Diane's travel authorizations?
Maybe Secretary of Finance.
Secretary of Finance. So you wouldn't sign off on this?
No.
Okay. Ms. Palacios, thank you very much. Madam Chair, at this time I yield.
Thank you, Representative Probst. I have a few clarifying questions. You mentioned that sometimes the Secretary of Finance, at that time, Miss Larissa Larson, would often sign off or certify funds in your stead. Is that correct?
Yes.
Does does the Secretary of Finance have access to the system, the
Yes.
financial services system,
Yes.
that they can go in and see if there's any funds available and then certify,
The staff have.
but not the Secretary of Finance?
No.
Why would the Secretary of Finance sign in your stead? You are the Director of Financial Services, the person responsible to certify that there's available funds. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, in what situation or why would the Secretary of Finance sign on your behalf certifying that there's available funds if the Secretary of Finance does not have access to the system to see if there's any funds available? Do you know?
Sometimes if it's a last minute travel, less than 5 days, we usually send the or the travel authorization down to Secretary of Finance for their signature because of the there's a memo that trips that are less than 5 days have to be approved by the Secretary of Finance.
Okay, in that situation, so you don't even review in that situation, particular situation, do you have any review of these travel authorizations that come to the Department of Finance that have travel dates within 5 days? Do you have any review of these documents prior to going to the Secretary of Finance, or it just bypasses your division and goes straight to her?
Some of the, if it's less than 5 days, travel section will calculate it and send it down to Secretary of Finance.
Without your review after travel section?
Yes.
Thank you. You also mentioned that the first lady sometimes travels on government paid travels. Is that correct?
No, I said I'm not sure. I haven't seen one.
You haven't seen any travel authorizations?
No.
Okay. So if the first lady travels, you testified earlier that it is the department head that is ultimately responsible for the purpose section, right, of the travel authorization?
Yes.
Okay, so if the first lady travels, who would be the department head?
Whoever the account or she's flying under, sometimes under Women's Affair or other departments. I'm not sure. The,
As the director of financial services for the Department of Finance, do you consider yourself a fiduciary on behalf of the taxpayers of the CNMI?
can you repeat that again?
As the Director of Financial Services for the Department of Finance, do you consider yourself a fiduciary, a person of who has responsibility on behalf of the CNMI taxpayers, as a person certifying funds for the on behalf of the Department of Finance?
I don't understand. You know? I don't understand the question.
Let me try and word it another way. You're the Director of the Division of Financial Services, right? And you're
Yes.
responsible to certify funds, meaning
Mm.
that there are available funds to either process travel, payments, purchase orders,
Mhm.
reimbursements. That so there's a certain responsibility entrusted in your position, being the person who certifies that funds are available. Do you consider yourself? Do you consider your position a position of fiduciary trust for the CNMI taxpayers? Because these government funds are tax, taxpayers' funds.
I'm going to object to the term fiduciary. It's a legal term. It's clear that my client doesn't understand that legal term, and
Thank you.
obviously,
Duly noted, Council.
yeah.
Let me try and work. I'll come back to that question and reword it in a different way. I'm sorry, I may have missed it. Have you ever denied travel in the past? Any travel authorizations?
No.
Okay, thank you. I'll yield for now. I recognize Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon and welcome, Ms. Palacios. Welcome, Council. Thank you for being here today. I also had a few clarifying questions before we go into the first exhibit of a travel authorization, and perhaps our LB staff could start bringing that up. This would be TA number 346-502, and I think that should be entered as Exhibit 8. 8, okay. But just while they're pulling that up, I wanted to ask you, Ms. Palacios, beginning with just to clarify the issue of your counsel, you said that the Department of Finance is retaining Mr. Gregory to represent you today. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then is there also a letter of representation or authorization from the Office of the Attorney General?
Yes.
There is. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. One of the questions I wanted to ask in response to your earlier statement, when you said sometimes the Secretary of Finance signs, and that would be in cases where there was less than 5 days notice if it was a last minute travel, right? Are there other circumstances under which you would not sign a TA?
Come again?
Are there other circumstances, other reasons that you wouldn't sign a TA?
No.
Was there any reason why you wouldn't sign on the First Lady's travel authorizations?
It was never given to me.
It was
sign
just never given to you. Okay. Okay, thank you. And then to clarify the question about penalties for failure to submit trip reports, you also said that the penalty that's provided in the law is hard to implement, and that's withholding travel advances. Could you just explain why is that hard? That's in the law. Why is that hard?
It's very hard to tell the department or otherwise, because if I say no, you haven't filed your voucher, they would go next to the higher level,
And who's the higher level?
Secretary of Finance.
Okay, and then what? I mean, he also still has to implement that law, right? So then what?
They just okay for the travel advances. They sign off on the travel advances.
So have you previously, in your experience at finance, tried to implement that that penalty to withhold travel advances?
Right now, we are doing that.
Now you are.
Yes.
As of when?
We deduct it, if you're traveling and you still have outstanding and it's less than, probably less than or more than a month that you haven't filed,
Mhm.
we would withhold or only give you the 80% so that when you come back, we give you the rest.
Right. So that's the part that is meant by withholding travel advances, right? It's the
Yeah.
20% that still hasn't been paid out.
Right now, the new travel policy is we have to give you the 100% of travel advances. But if you have an outstanding, we only give you 80. So when you file your voucher,
Mhm.
either we hold the remaining balance of your voucher.
I see. Okay. And then what about these automatic payroll deductions? That's when would those be implemented?
After 30 days that you haven't filed your voucher,
Mhm.
we will automatically do the travel
I see.
deduction.
Okay. And I have seen in the records, we have seen in the records, these payroll deductions in cases where, for the governor, in cases where he has overdrawn. But have there ever been payroll deductions or withholding of travel advances or for even future travel in cases where he didn't file a trip report?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and are we ready with our exhibit? Yeah, okay. So I'd like to direct your attention, Ms. Palacios, to this travel authorization. We can provide a copy.
Do we have a, yeah, paper
Yes.
copy would be good.
Which one is this?
And a complete document.
Mhm. Yeah, there are copies of that too. But I think maybe we could just. Okay.
This is right.
Mm. Sorry, could we just call for a short recess?
Short recess. Recess. Uh, Representative Tina Sablan, you may continue.
Thank you. So just for the record, we are looking at exhibit number 8, travel authorization number 346502. And Ms. Palacios, would you just confirm that you are looking at the same document?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so this is for travel for the governor and the first lady that occurred on or about December 4th to the 15th, 2018, from Saipan to Washington, D.C. and Hawaii. with stops in Japan, Chicago, San Francisco, and Guam. And Ms. Palacios, we're just going to have you help us better understand what happened on this trip. So first, if we could scroll down, please, to the signatures on this first page. So the traveler here, you can confirm that these are the signatures for Governor Ralph Del Leon Guerrero Torres. He was both the traveler and the department head signing for this. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios was the approving officer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And just going back to what you said earlier, that your signature is just for availability of funds, right?
Yes.
And so who, in this case, with the governor's travel, who is certifying that these funds are for public purpose?
David.
It would be David. And who is David for the record?
David actually,
Where is his signature?
25.
Line 25. On the next page.
Oh. Wait, what are we looking at?
What page of the exhibit are you referring to?
That's actually what so is this the page where you're saying he is certifying, ma'am?
Yes.
So his signature over your name where it says Chief Finance and Accounting.
Yes.
David Atelig is certifying that this is a public purpose.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Not public purpose, the certification of funds.
Certification of funds. Got it. Okay. And so it appears from this record that there was an initial TA that was dated November 27th, 2018 for travel by Governor Torres +1. And in this case, it appears from the records that his +1 was the First Lady Diane Torres to Kona, Hawaii. And the purpose of the trip, as you can see from line number 10, was to attend the Western Governors Association 2018 winter meeting. The initial airfare cost for both Mr. and Mrs. Torres, as listed on this TA, was $10,690 plus lodging and stipend. Could we go down to the part of the TA that indicates that, please? Thank you. Do you see that, Ms. Palacios?
Yes.
Okay. And then the TA was amended 3 months after travel was completed on March 8, 2019. So that would be the next page of this exhibit. Yeah. So after travel was completed, to change routing and travel dates, and here, according to the amendment, the purpose of the travel was to attend memorial services for President George H.W. Bush and meet with federal officials for defense and FEMA in San Francisco and Hawaii, make opening remarks at a Westpac conference, and meet with Mufi Hanuman regarding the Pacific Century Fellowship Program. Do you see that, Ms. Palacios?
Yes.
Okay. And that change in travel, if we can scroll down, according to the amended TA of March 2019, cost the government an additional $11,984 in airfare alone, plus stipend, lodging, car rental, and the total cost to taxpayers was more than $25,000 for that one trip alone for the governor and Mrs. Torres. Do you see that? Is that correct, Ms. Palacios?
This is after the calculation and after the trip.
I'd like to call for a short recess at this time.
Sure.
I think we can get just a brief answer to that question.
And I didn't see this document,
Mhm,
and it was the Secretary of Finance certified for the funds,
mhm,
but it was probably to entertain his travel voucher
mhm.
that he amended his trip for a longer period.
Right. And well, yeah, and it appears from the amendment that it was to change it and to change the dates and to change even the routing altogether. But the question was that this was additional airfare, correct? And actually further down in the attachments that went along with that, there's a note. I'm not sure who from finance would have written this note, but it indicates that this is additional airfare. So altogether, that one trip would have cost more than $25,000.
This one. Yeah, after they come back and then they're trying to file the vouchers, they
Yeah.
attach all the itineraries and
Right.
everything,
Mhm.
and it costs the government an additional funds to.
Okay, so it was additional.
Yes.
Thank you. And based on the travel records in front of you, and Ms. Palacios, you have the TAs, including the amendment, the airline itineraries, the cost of the tickets, the boarding passes that show business class and first class seating. Do you agree that the airfare for these trips was premium class airfare that the government paid for? So based,
Oh,
sure.
come again.
No problem. I'm happy to repeat. So based on the travel records that you have, and this includes the TAs, the airline itineraries, the cost of the tickets, the boarding passes that show business class and first class seating for the governor and the first lady, do you agree that the airfare for these trips was premium class airfare that the government paid for?
Objection is to the vagueness of the terms of premium. Unless she knows, if she knows, she can answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. This
Yeah.
is the use of premium class airfare is a reference to what's the language in the law. So first class, business class, or any other premium class airfare. So I guess, did the government pay for first class or business class airfare for this trip?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. And Ms. Palacios, are you aware of any public purpose for the First Lady's travel in this case, on this trip?
Um, on the invitation for the governor's conference, the governor is invited and the first lady. So, and this is not the only governor that's going to that trip with Governors Association.
Okay. So is that sufficient then to establish public purpose for the First Lady? If you know. And is there a trip report for either the First Lady or the Governor?
No.
Okay, so we don't really know if they actually attended these meetings.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And what is the procedure when travel plans must be amended?
After you come back and you go for another or extend your trip, or otherwise you exceeded the amount of obligation that we made, they would usually recommend travel section will call and recommend you to amend your TA because either your date or your amount is not enough for the original TA.
Mm-hmm.
And they ask you to amend the TA to meet with all the attached boarding pass and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and an
Okay.
additional funds to the prior TA.
Right. So in the case of this TA, it was amended on March 8, 2019, nearly 3 months after the trip was already completed. Is that common practice?
It's not a common one, but I guess
But it happens?
maybe they're deducting him already travel advances, and then he has to file the voucher. So
But you don't really know that, right? Okay. And then, if you know, was the amendment to this TA approved prior to the detour to Washington, D.C.?
I wouldn't know that.
Okay. Who would know that? Who would approve something like that?
Maybe the governor and the lieutenant governor talking to each other that
Okay.
I'll be extending and relook different. I'm not sure who owns.
Okay. Thank you. And then my final question for this TA, and I know we are going to be taking a recess very soon, is are all of the governor's travel requests just automatically approved?
Yes.
Okay. And all the amendments also are just automatically approved?
Yes.
And you said earlier that the Department of Finance has never denied any travel authorization or travel amendments for the governor, correct? And in your experience, as long as you've been working there,
Not only for the governor, but for
Mhm.
any other employees.
for any other
Yes.
employee. But is it more difficult, would you say, to deny requests for travel, or for any other public expenditures for the governor?
The only denial is if you don't have the funds, we will return it,
Mhm.
and you find another account or whoever's going to shoulder do your reprogramming or whatever.
Okay.
But we don't deny. It's only if there's no money.
Okay. Thank you. I yield at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. As I have announced earlier, we will take a short 15-minute recess at this time. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. We are now back from recess, and the last questions were being posed by Representative Tina Sablon, so we will continue with her.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome back, Ms. Palacios and Council. I just wanted to clarify your answer to the earlier question. Just going to quickly, as a housekeeping measure, ask everybody to turn off their cell phones or keep them on silent. Okay, going back to the question. So we were discussing the First Lady's travel, and you had mentioned that you saw in the records that she was named as being invited to the Governors Association meeting. Correct?
Oh.
And I asked you if that was enough, her name on the invitation. Is that enough, if you know, is that enough to justify public purpose? And what was your answer?
No,
Is your answer no, it's not enough to justify public purpose?
I don't know.
Your answer is you don't know. Okay, thank you for making that clear. I will yield at this time, Madam Chair, to our colleague Richard Lizama, who I understand has some questions as well.
Thank you. Before we proceed with Representative Lazama, I have one question clarifying. To your knowledge, has any other government employee or elected official flown on first class travel?
No,
You don't know, or no, nobody else has ever flown on?
not that I know.
Not that you know of. Thank you. How about the spouses of elected officials or government employees? To your knowledge, has any spouse of a government employee or an elected official ever flown on first class?
Not on first class, but maybe a regular fare.
Okay. Is that for a government employee or an elected official?
An elected official.
Paid for? Is it paid for by the government funds?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. We will now proceed with Representative Richard Lazama.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome, Mrs. Bernie Palacios,
Thank you.
and welcome my former boss, Mr. Gregory. Sorry. Just a follow-up question. Since I've seen up in the chart the change from per diem to stipend, so who in finance makes the per diem or stipend calculation? I think
Our travel section.
so you've answered that before. Yes. Do you review it after they come to you? After they do the calculation, do you do the review, make sure they are exactly correct?
On this case, no. They calculate it and then we just enter it on the system based on it's already been approved by Secretary of Finance.
Okay, so
The supervisor would verify.
okay. Can you tell me the difference between per diem and stipends?
The per diem is based on the government rate that is established.
That's for per diem.
Per diem. Stipend is something that you would get on a not to exceed the per diem rate. So if the per diem rate is 250 and you want to get, or that your department head wants to give you $100 per day, then
That's the stipend.
that's a stipend.
Thank you. May a government employee on government travel makes personal stops during the period of travel?
Again,
May the government employee on a government travel make personal stops during the period of travel, is that authorized?
You have to pay the difference.
Okay. So is there a law, regulation, or finance policy that covers personal stops?
No.
What is the process of requesting and making personal stops during the government travel? What is the process, if you can tell me that?
For if you're going to, let's say you're going to or San Francisco and you want to go to PDX, you have an extra flight from PDX or San Francisco to PDX. You pay the San Francisco to PDX and back to PDX. I'm in San Francisco. You pay the extra fare that is given to you by your agencies. Usually, when you book yourself,
Mhm.
a travel agent will give you a figure.
Okay. Is there any processing, or is there a process to request a personal stops during government travel? Is there a process? Let me get back to so what is the process for requesting and making personal stops during government travel? Is there one?
Um, on that one, usually if you're traveling in between and you're going to go on personal, you put on your travel authorization that from this period to this period, personal.
Okay.
So you don't get per diem or any other extra money for that.
And may the government employee continue to receive per diem or stipends, lodging and car rental when making personal stops? Are they
No.
authorized?
No,
Why not?
because you're saying that between that period and that period is your personal. You're the one liable for everything.
Thank you. How does finance ensure the government employee are not receiving government per diem or other benefits while on personal stops? How the finance ensures the government employees are not receiving government per diem or other benefits while they're on personal stop?
Okay, when you submit, it's up to you. If you put in a request for travel authorization, you have to put when is your personal leave. Then travel will not calculate that and insert it on your calculation of per diem or stipend.
What if the stop is a political in nature, to attend campaign
I
rally?
don't,
For example, may government employee continue to receive per diem, lodging, or car rentals when they make those stops at the campaign functions?
we wouldn't know.
Okay. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. I have one clarifying question. You talked about stipends and per diem and the difference between the two. Is a traveler allowed to avail of both stipend and per diem?
No.
They're not.
No.
So you receive either per diem or
A
stipend.
Yes.
Okay, one other question. When a government agency pays for a government employee's travel expenses, including per diem, airfare, car rental, and lodging, is there any policy that we can also use local funds to augment any additional airfare costs due to first class travel?
Again?
Okay, so if a government agency pays for a government employee's travel to attend a conference, is there any policy locally that says you can also use local funds to to augment, to add to any additional airfare difference due to first class.
Repeat it again.
I don't understand.
Would it help you if I spoke tomorrow?
Sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Is that okay, Mr. Gregory? Okay, Zangin local account, I'm sorry, Zangin federal account. Oh, okay.
All right.
Zangin federal account umapasista todo airfare, lodging, per diem, car rental. Kogwaha policy na sinyaloki man na said be local funds for additional airfare costs due to first class travel.
No, cannot do that.
Cannot do that. Thank you. I will yield. I would like to recognize Representative Ed Probst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Palacios, since I just wanted to ask a couple of questions with regard to per diem and stipend, since you explained this, and I wanted to just make it clear. So if I were to travel, let's say to Guam for business, to meet with the legislature there, say we went there, and I got my travel authorization and it came with this per diem. This per diem should cover my expenses for meals. Is that correct?
Meals and lodging.
Meals and lodging, right? So that should cover it. So if I were given this per diem, say I went for the weekend, I had a meeting, and then I decided to meet with a senator, and we met for dinner together, and we had several drinks and enjoyed an 8 at a 5-star restaurant, for example. But we did have a meeting, and let's say, for example, I encompassed or had a $500 tab at the end of the dinner, and I came back and I submitted it, and you saw that I'm submitting for reimbursement. What would you say to that for me submitting that, saying, well, I did meet with a senator, so therefore I am. What would be your response to that? Would you be amenable to accepting that and giving me a reimbursement for that, or would you be in a position to question it and say you have received per diem that should cover your meals? Just curious. I'd like to know how you would answer that. It's a hypothetical but important.
Um, Congressman, it's okay when you submit your reimbursement and you declare under that it is because you entertain somebody
Mm-hmm.
and you're requesting under official representation,
Mm-hmm.
we will reimburse you
Okay.
as to what you submit for reimbursement.
Within that report, would you require information about the meeting? Would you ask what was the purpose of it? And
No,
you would not ask that. So as long as I state for the record that it was an official meeting with a senator, for example, and I do expect to be, so it does not matter the amount. If it were $2,000, is there a line that would, or something that would call for like something like a red flag that this is excessive or seems excessive?
never seen one like that.
I haven't seen one. Well, and the reason why I bring this up is that from the documents that we have reviewed, we have seen several that have caused us great concern. Because from our experience and from our discussions with colleagues, normally when you travel, these expenses that when you get a per diem, it is to cover your meals and lodging. And one thing that we've heard, although it may not be the rule, is that If it's alcohol, you don't include it. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Again, I am concerned about it because there there is per diem that is given to cover meals, yet at the same time, one is receiving per diem, for example, the governor, he's still able to have several meals that are basically paid for by taxpayers. So he gets per diem, collects that, that's supposed to take care of his food, his lodging, his well-being, essentially. Yet he still has these dinners or meetings, uh, extravagant ones, several of them that have been extravagant, and he still gets reimbursed for it. I think that was some of the concern with regard to the questions that we've had. So for just for the record, if I were to do that in the future, that is acceptable.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. And I also wanted to clarify with regard to what was asked earlier. You had mentioned with regard to a meeting with Travis Hurst from the Office of the Public Auditor that he had stated that first class travel was prohibited. Is that correct? That was about 2 years ago?
Yes.
And you were informed this this notice that was given, it caused you to be concerned enough to ensure that you didn't want to sign off on it anymore. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So you knew that first class travel was prohibited 2 years ago and you didn't sign off on it.
No.
Wasn't the Office of the Governor informed of this through the Office of the Public Auditor?
I am not sure, but I did bring it up to Secretary of Finance, Larissa, about it.
Mhm. And what did she say about that?
She says she's going to look into it.
Okay. But, and I thank you for bringing that up to her, the Secretary of Finance, and it's important. But yet, even though you had brought it to her attention, uh, she continued to sign off on the first class travel. Is that correct? In place of your signature, she would sign off on the first class travel.
Yes.
Okay. And after Larissa Larson was removed and Mr. Atelig replaced her, he would then sign off on the first class travel. Is that
I
as
guess
he
it's
did
this one here.
above your name? Yes. Okay. I just wanted that for clarification. Thank you, Ms. Palacios. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Probst. I have a couple more questions. If the department doesn't have enough funds in the account, you testified earlier that that would be grounds for a denial of that TA. Is that correct?
Yes.
So who is the person responsible to deny? Is it you or the Secretary of Finance?
If it comes to me and they want me to certify it and there's no money available, we deny the travel. The individuals or the departments will go to Secretary of Finance.
Okay. Okay. One other question. When the governor travels, or when the first lady travels with the governor, does she, or is there any policy that grants her per diem separate from the governor?
Usually we don't give per diem to the First Lady. It's only on behalf of the governor.
Have you ever come across a TA wherein Mrs. Torres was given per diem on top of the governor's per diem?
No.
You've never seen it? Is there any situation that has come across your desk that the governor and the first lady have received a stipend, both receiving stipend?
Only for the governor.
Okay. Can the first lady, when traveling with the governor, uh, claim, or can the first lady, when traveling with the governor, be Is the First Lady, when traveling with the governor, entitled to a separate room from the governor?
I don't, no, I don't think so.
You don't think so? You don't think she's entitled to, or would the Department of Finance pay for an additional room in the First Lady's name, separate from the governor, if the governor has his own room?
I don't know about that. I mean, never
You've-
seen one.
You've never seen it where Department of Finance has paid for a room for the governor and then a separate room for the First Lady?
Yeah. No, I never see one.
Thank you. Um, At this time, I would like to recognize Representative Tina Sablon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to request that our council pull up the Department of Finance regulations, Title 70 of the Administrative Code, regarding that's right, the regulations for the control of public funds. Ms. Palacios, are you familiar with these regulations?
For clarification, this as amended by the September 28th, 2020? Or is it, it's the codified version? If you can
This is
provide
the codified version.
Okay. So if possible, can we, I don't know, I mean, just, let's deal with it section by section and
Sure.
if we can,
I,
and if
yeah,
because I can't see it that well. And
okay.
I don't think she can.
We can enlarge it. And I actually just want to go to section 70-20.1,
Should have.
101B regarding unallowable expenses.
70 dash what? I'm sorry?
Dash 20.1 dash 101B. Unallowable expenses. So here we go. B. So examples of personal or political expenditures. So according to this part of the regulations, examples of unallowable expenses that will be routinely rejected if submitted for payment or reimbursement include, are you reading with me, Ms. Palacios? So there's the personal items such as food or clothing in number 1. Number 2 includes travel expenditures of individuals for medical treatment. Are we on the same page?
Let me see. I'm sorry. What subsection was it again? What section?
70-20.1 101B.
Sorry, B.
Examples
Okay,
of
got it.
personal or political expenditures that are not allowable. Okay?
Yeah.
And then number 3 lists as one of these examples of unallowable expenditures, travel expenditures of individuals for individuals who are not government employees, including but not limited to airline tickets, hotel accommodations, gifts, meals, and related expenses. Do you see that, Ms.
Yeah.
Palacios? Okay. And would you just confirm for us, for the record then, reconfirm, I guess, that the First Lady is not a government employee?
But there may be other regulations that allow her to travel. But
That's the new regulation. That would authorize her to.
there is another regulation that allows the First Lady to travel, but I don't remember where it is, but we went over it. But I don't know. So, I mean, if it's a legal matter and you don't know, but she can say she's not a government. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't appear that she's a government employee. Yeah.
The First Lady is not a government employee.
Thank you. And then the list goes on. There are expenses for private individuals' utilities, sponsorship for CNMI sports teams, fundraising activities for private individuals, and then finally, any expenditures associated with political campaign functions. Are we on the same page here?
Yes.
Okay. And then the regulations further provide that the responsible party who incurred the expense will pay or reimburse the CNMI government for these expenditures. And if it's not paid in a timely manner, such costs may be recovered after notice through payroll deductions or other means authorized by law.
So which section was this reference?
Same section. We can scroll down.
Oh, further, wait, mine ends there.
70-20.1-110.
Or 101. Oh,
110.
yeah, okay, got it.
You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, to your knowledge, Ms. Palacios, has the governor ever had to pay back the government for such unallowable expenses?
No.
No. Okay. And then you earlier stated that if individuals are traveling on government time, government funds, and want to make personal stops, they have to pay the difference for their own fare.
Yes.
Right? To your knowledge, has the governor ever had to pay the difference in his own fare for personal stops?
I don't remember.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to next ask that we move on to the next exhibit, which I think would be Exhibit 9. This would be TA number 339802. And can we just provide a copy as well to our witness? Ms. Palacios, do you have a copy in front of you? Okay, and Madam Chair, can we proceed?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So, Ms. Palacios, on or about April 28 through May 8, 2018, Governor Ralph Torres and his wife, First Lady Diane Torres, took a trip from Saipan to Oregon and Alaska with some other stops in between. And according to the initial TA that's dated April 12, 2018, the purpose of this trip, if we could scroll down, please. The purpose of this trip was for the governor to meet with a federal official, Mr. Gary Kuwabara, from the Department of Defense, as well as a Mr. Craig Campbell in Alaska regarding Alaska Aerospace, an Alaska Aerospace MOA. Ms. Palacios, is this your signature on the TA? Yes?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And again, this signature means that you were certifying that the funds were available for this trip, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the requester for the travel in this case was Governor Ralph Torres, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And total airfare for Governor Torres and his wife for this trip cost the government $16,250 or $8,125 each. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And according to the boarding passes and the itineraries that are attached to these travel documents, the airfare was listed as business class unrestricted. Do you agree? It's in the itinerary. Yeah, business class unrestricted. And then the boarding passes also indicate business class unrestricted. Yes. Okay, so you see that. And so you would agree, Ms. Palacios, that Governor Torres and his wife traveled on first class and business class airfare that was paid by the CNMI government.
Yes.
Yes, you would agree. And are you aware of any public purpose for Ms. Torres going on this trip with the governor? Or First Lady Diane Torres going on this trip?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Was there a trip report for Ms. Torres?
No,
Okay. And was there a trip report for the governor?
no.
Thank you. And would you agree, Ms. Palacios, based on the per diem calculations, if we could scroll up, please, Council, and also the travel voucher before you, that Governor Torres received compensation? Oh, sorry, you missed it. Go back up. There you go. Next page. That's the per diem calculation, correct, Ms. Torres? I mean, Ms. Palacios?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's a travel voucher that's on the first page. So based on these documents, would you agree that Governor Torres received compensation from the government, including lodging and per diem or stipends, during this entire period of travel? Mhm.
based on the calculation,
Mm-hmm.
the 700 is a stipend,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's what's calculated by travel.
Okay. And that was to cover, that was his stipend for this period of travel from April
Yes.
28th through May 8th,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And then if you go to the travel voucher, which is the first page of this document, Council, there's also itemized expenditures. Now it looks like this, the travel voucher. Itemized expenditures for $1,064.90.
That's
And that's for lodging,
lodging.
correct? And that was for lodging that took place, or that the governor availed of during his stay in Oregon, right? Based on the
Yes.
documents that are attached. Okay. So he received government stipend and lodging, including itemized expenditures for his hotel stay in Oregon. And if we could go to the amended TA, Council. Sorry, could we go to the amended TA? The next one, that's right. Ms. Palacios, is this your signature? Could we go down, please? Is this your signature on the amended TA?
No, that's Larissa.
That's Larissa Larson's. And she was the Secretary of Finance at the time, correct?
Yes.
Is there any particular reason why Secretary Larson signed this and not yourself?
No, I don't. Maybe the TA went straight down to her.
Oh, okay. So you never saw this
No.
amended TA, as far as you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we could scroll back up on this, keep on the same page. So this TA was subsequently amended on April 13, 2018 to include stipend and lodging and justification to meet with potential business partners in Oregon. Do you see that, Ms. Palacios?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who Governor Torres's potential business partners are in Oregon?
No.
Do you know the nature of his potential business interests in Oregon?
No.
And there is no trip report for that part of his stay, correct?
No.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Governor Torres ever meet with Gary Kuwabara or Craig Campbell on this trip?
No.
Is there a trip report?
No.
Okay. Do you know what public purpose was served by this stop in Oregon?
Pardon?
Do you know if there was any public purpose served by this stop in Oregon?
No, I don't know.
Okay, so according to the travel voucher and the supporting documents attached, Governor Torres stopped in Oregon from April 28th to 30th before heading to Alaska. So again, just so we're clear, are you aware, Ms. Palacios, of any official government business that was conducted during this stop in Oregon?
No.
Okay. Council, would you please bring up the photos taken from April 30th, 2018? Okay. Yes. Okay. So on or about April 30th, 2018, Governor Torres attended a campaign rally in Oregon. Madam Chair, I'd like to enter these photos as exhibits as well. If we could just scroll through some of these photos.
Can you
This
enlarge
one's a little, can we enlarge it?
to the-
Yeah, okay. So these are photos that were taken from, screenshots that were taken from that rally. We can go to the next one, please.
It says right there, Cinema Republican.
From the See My Republican Party page. Yes.
Enlarge it.
This is also from the See My Republican Party page. We can actually go to the next one, please. I think that,
The arrow, yeah.
okay. Madam Chair, or Ms. Palacios, actually, do you recognize the governor in this photo?
Yes.
Okay, and could you just point him out for the record? Where is he in this photo? Just for the record.
Is that your left? Second to your left or your right?
Second to the right.
I would
Okay.
think
And do you recognize any other people in this photo?
Lady Diane,
First Lady Diane. And where is she?
right with the governor.
Right next to him? So to his right. And any other government officials in this photo?
Let me look.
Okay.
No.
You don't
I don't know
recognize
who's
any
that.
other officials. Okay. Um, fair enough. I'll continue. Were you aware that Governor Torres was planning to make a campaign stop in Oregon during
No.
this trip? Did he disclose that to anyone at Finance, as far as you know?
No.
Should he have disclosed that to Finance?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. If you had known, would you have raised concerns about that?
Yes.
And what would those concerns have been?
You can't go on a political matter with the government authorization.
Mhm.
It's not allowed.
It's not allowed. That's right. And as far as you know, no one else at Finance was aware that he was planning to make this campaign stop.
No.
And you would agree then, Ms. Palacios, that government funds should not be used to pay for any portion of expenses incurred for political campaigning, including travel, per diem, lodging, or car rental.
Yes.
Thank you. I yield at this time, Madam Chair, if members have other questions.
Thank you, Representative Sablon. Do any of the members have any questions? I recognize Representative Richard Lazama.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. Just clarification. Would talk about stipend and per diem. The change happens. Is it because per diem is lower, or what do you call it? As stipend is higher,
No. Stipend is lower than per diem.
lower than the per diem? How did they choose that? I mean, they're going on a trip and they decide to go lower on their per diem, on your daily expenses.
It's up to
Finance.
the department. No, it's up to the approving or the department head what they're giving you.
Okay.
So if you don't put anything there and you put CNMI rate, we will take per diem. But if you identify there a stipend, then you tell us what it.
Thank you. I hear back.
Thank you. Are there any other members? At this time, I'll recognize Representative Tina Sablon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we'll move on to the third exhibit, and I am very mindful of the time, and so I think we could wrap up. I mean, it's your call, Madam Chair, but perhaps after this, we go through this last exhibit, then we could recess and call Ms. Palacios back if she's willing to answer further questions after today.
I'll take it under advisement and we can communicate with Ms. Palacios. It is getting close to the 4 o'clock hour, and we certainly don't want to keep you here longer than necessary. Would you be willing to come back on Tuesday after the holiday?
Madam Chair, how long do you think the resumption would likely be?
The next set of questions and the exhibits would probably take at least an hour and a half. And that's a conservative estimate.
Just a quick recess.
Quick recess. We will rise back from recess and we will continue with Representative Tina Sablan.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I just realized we didn't actually go through all of the photos. Could we pull up the April 30 photos? Just. Yeah. Well, we can, the ones that came after that. Yeah. And then the next one. Okay. Now we can skip. Go back. Okay. Ms. Palacios, do you recognize anybody else, any other government employee or official in this photo?
Joey Cruz,
Joey Cruz, and who is he?
security of the governor.
Okay, and anybody else?
Glenna,
Glenna. And would you just state her full name for the record?
Glenna Regis or
Glenna
Skisat.
Okay, and who is she?
I don't know what's her title, but she's a military right now.
The Military Affairs
Yes.
Bureau Director. That's our special assistant. We'll have to clarify that. Okay, thank you. So, so just let the record reflect, colleagues, that that Ms. Palacios, our witness, has identified a number of government officials who were also on this trip, but particularly Governor Torres and First Lady Diane Torres, who were on government travel on April 30th, 2018, and making a campaign stop in Oregon.
What one caveat or one objection? She doesn't personally know that the picture was taken at that time, but she's acknowledging that
Duly noted,
that
Council.
noticed.
Thank you. Okay, can we please pull up the next TA? Okay, so this would be Exhibit 10. Cam, can you clarify? Exhibit 9? Oh, including the photos. Okay. Exhibit number 12, thank you. This is T. That's right. Okay. Thank you. So exhibit number 11 then is TA number 341615. Ms. Palacios, have you been provided a copy of that? Okay, could we please provide Ms. Palacios with a copy of this TA? Okay. Do you have the TA in front of you? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And it is also on the screen for your reference. So this travel authorization 341615 deals with travel on or about June 16 to the 24th, 2018. Governor Torres traveled to Boise, Idaho, and Guam. And according to the TA, if we could scroll to the next page. The purpose of this meeting, of this travel, was for the governor to meet with Gary Kuwabara, a federal official, regarding RSI grants and grant management capacity, and to meet with the governor of Idaho, and to meet with the governor of Guam, Eddie Cowell, regarding airline issues. Ms. Palacios, would you just confirm for the record, if we could scroll down to the signatures, that the requester of this travel was Governor Torres? Is that his signature?
Yes.
Thank you. And then the approving officer, the authorizing officer, was Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios. Is that his signature?
Yes.
Okay. And then whose signature is above your name?
Larissa.
Larissa Larson. So Larissa Larson certified funds for this trip, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was there any particular reason why Secretary Larson signed this TA and not you?
I'm not sure why Larissa signed it, but the you see the one on the side?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
on the
initialed that,
Okay, yes.
and that's one of my staff,
Okay.
Berlin. But maybe I'm not there that she referred it down to Larissa for signature.
Oh, I see. Huh,
So
Okay.
she's approving for funds is available.
I see. And then Larissa just signed over your name.
Maybe I was not there.
If
I'm
you were
not
not.
sure.
Okay, okay. Um, so the airfare listed on this TA is $5,612. And the itinerary and the boarding passes that are attached to this indicate unrestricted business class travel. Could we go to those parts? Do you see that, Ms. Palacios?
To make it easier, I think I just have a standard objection to personal knowledge, and she's reading the document in front of her, assuming that the document is accurate. So her testimony is not from personal knowledge.
Sure.
All
These
documents
are-
that she doesn't sign.
Thank
But
you.
I just want to get that out of the way.
Thank
so
you,
we don't have
counsel.
to deal with it all the time. Yeah.
These records do actually come from finance.
Correct.
So I would hope that these would
There's
be
no itinerary.
accurate,
Boarding
correct copies. Okay. But do you see that, Ms.
It's
Palacios?
a term of art for the law that she
Thank you.
she doesn't personally know it.
pass. Still looking for it.
I don't see it either.
Itinerary?
No.
Do you see the airline itinerary? Or the boarding passes? Hmm. Cam, sorry, could somebody please? Yeah, sure.
the exhibits look very different, although they're, yeah.
I don't have the itinerary on this other one.
Oh, it didn't come with that attachment? Okay. Um, well, do you see?
And sometimes it's useful just like to do exhibit 8-1-2-3, so we
Thank
kind of
you.
are all on the same page.
I think it's not the same
Yeah.
attachment.
Okay, could we just call a quick recess?
Short recess. Thank you. We are back from recess and we will continue with Representative Tina Sablan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And welcome back, Ms. Palacios and Council. So are we clear now on the exhibits in front of you? You have the correct
Yes.
documents? Yeah, our apologies for that. So based on the travel documents in front of you, Ms. Palacios, would you agree that the governor traveled on first class and or business class airfare that was paid for by the government?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, could you speak into the microphone?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And if we could just go back to the travel. There, this. Okay. Sorry, go up a little more. Okay, so there's this line that appears on a lot of these TAs, Ms. Palacios, travel to be performed in the best interest of the CNMI government. Do you see that?
It's the one that did that. Yes.
Yeah, and that's part of the form, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you could go to the first page of this, which is the travel voucher form, and just stop at the signatures. So there's this line also on the form, all information provided here is complete and true to the best of my knowledge and belief. Do you see that, ma'am? This is on line 10, where signature of traveler appears.
Yeah.
Okay. And whose signature is on this form?
Governor Torres.
Governor Torres. Okay. So the traveler is the person who certifies the completeness and the accuracy of these documents. And then the signatories on the travel vouchers also indicate that this is travel to be performed in the best interest of the CNMI government. Is that correct?
That's the certification.
Yeah. And then this. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So would you agree then, based on the travel documents before you, that Governor Torres received compensation from the government during this period of travel? So this would have been from June 16 to the 24th, 2018.
What was the question again?
Would you agree, based on these documents, that Governor Torres received compensation from the government during the entire period of travel, including lodging, per diem, stipends, and airfare, from June 16 to the 24th, 2018?
The stipend. The cross up.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Okay. And so this was a per diem or a stipend that he earned during this period?
Stipend.
A stipend of $500, right?
Yes.
And then he also received funds for itemized expenditures, $599.40.
For lodging.
For lodging, okay. Thank you. To your knowledge, did Governor Torres actually meet with Gary Kuwabara or the governor of Idaho?
I don't know.
You don't know. And was there a trip report?
No.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Governor Torres actually meet with Governor Eddie Calvo?
No. I don't know.
You don't know. Thank you. Was there a trip report?
No.
Thank you. So Governor Torres, Council, if you could please pull up the photos from the June 23rd Guam event. Governor Torres stayed 2 days on Guam, from June 22nd to the 24th, and attended a campaign rally, the kickoff rally, on June 23rd on Guam. And I'd like to now enter this exhibit, Madam Chair. This is a flyer from the kickoff rally dated June 23rd, 2018. And there's another photo. This is a screenshot of a live stream that was posted on social media of the Guam rally. Ms. Palacios, do you recognize the governor in this photo? I'm sorry, could you speak into the microphone?
Yes.
Your microphone is on.
Yes.
Thank you. And would you just point him out, please, for the record?
The one with the lei.
Okay, the one with the lei, the red shirt, holding the microphone. Okay, thank you. Ms. Palacios, were you aware that the governor was planning to make this campaign stop on Guam?
No.
To your knowledge, did he disclose that to anyone at Finance?
I don't know.
I'm sorry?
I don't know whether, but that is on a Sunday.
It's on a Sunday. That's true. But he was also on government travel at this time.
I don't think he was given any compensation for that day.
And what is that based on?
Because the only one that he got compensated on is in Idaho. Based on the calculation of the travel,
Mm-hmm.
he's only compensated in
Go ahead.
Boise.
Could you please point that out, please? This is based on the per diem calculation.
Yes.
Okay. Could we go back to that, please? The per diem calculation would be
That's the 500, and then that's the only compensation.
Right.
Council. Could we go to the per diem calculation? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe you could just help us understand how stipends versus per diems are really calculated. Because this appears to show a stipend of $500, and there's lots of other numbers crossed out. So what does that mean?
So he's only given 125 per day
Mm-hmm.
based on this calculation times
Mhm.
4 days in Idaho, and that's the $500.
Times only the 4 days in Idaho.
Yes.
Okay, so why wouldn't he have been compensated if he was going to be staying in Guam and said he had to meet with the governor of Idaho? I mean, governor of Guam.
I don't know.
You don't know that. Okay.
Did he identify?
Did he receive lodging in Guam?
The attachment on this one is only for Star, Pacific Star, the attached receipt. That means, yes, he's compensated.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about,
Pacific Star. And where do you see that lodging, ma'am? Mhm. Oh, this this would be, I guess, on page 5 of that attachment. We could scroll further down, Council or Cam, on the monitor. Yeah. This is the Pacific Star reservation. Which indicates hotel stay for 2 on Guam.
based on the attachment of this one, this room reservation is for Pacific Star,
Okay.
and that's in Guam,
Okay. And the dates that you see there, just for the record?
June 8th.
No,
Wait,
that's the
hold
date
on,
of
hold
the
on.
Yeah.
the dates of the reservation.
22 to the 24th.
That's right. June 22nd to the 24th, 2018. So the government did compensate the governor for this lodging on Guam during this period, correct?
Yes.
And just for the record, I quickly double checked exactly what date that rally happened, and it was a Saturday. So I wanted to ask you, Ms. Palacios, is there any policy that allows for government-funded trips to be extended for a personal or political stop?
Again,
Is there any policy at finance that allows for government-funded trips to be extended for a personal or political stop?
no. The only one is only public purpose.
Like, must be for a public purpose, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you said earlier that if there is going to be any personal, non-public purpose stop, then they have to pay their own way and cover all those expenses,
Yes.
including lodging.
Yes.
Yeah. Or stipends, per diems, anything like that. Okay. Thank you. And just to wrap this part up, were you aware that the governor was planning to make this campaign stop on Guam?
No,
And did he disclose that to anyone at finance, as far as you know?
no,
And did he pay back any amount that was incurred on this trip for any personal or political stops?
no,
Okay. And again, you would agree, Ms. Palacios, that government funds should not be used to pay for any portion of expenses incurred for political campaigns. I'm sorry, could you say?
no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you agree. Thank you. I yield at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Rep. Tina. This time I would like to recognize Representative Vicente Camacho.
Thank you, Chair. And welcome, Ms. Palacios and Council. My turn to ask a question. At any time during these past 6 years of this administration, did you ever question anything about his travel authorizations? Therefore, the cost, first class airfares, the personal or campaign stops, his wife traveling first class with him?
No,
If not, why not?
I don't know why they're going. They're saying on the TA to meet governor or something. I don't know. That's the only one I know. They're meeting people. I don't know what's the side business.
Fair enough. And next question. How much detail is required for government travel requests? Let's say if a TA doesn't include the itinerary or an invitation or the specific names of people being met or the public purpose justification, should it be approved?
Again?
Okay, I can do that. If a TA doesn't include the itinerary or an invitation or the specific names of people being met or the public purpose justification, should it be approved? If any of those documents are missing, should we approve the TA?
If you don't submit the travel, I mean your itinerary, then we will tell you how are we going to figure out how much we're going to give it to you.
So it should not be approved.
So we would wait for your itinerary to come.
Okay. Fair enough again. Next question. Why are any trips approved for the governor's meeting with unnamed investors, business partners, and so on? Are you aware of any other government employees or officials having approved trips to meeting with unnamed business partners, no itinerary, no invitation, no other travel documentations or public purpose justification?
Can you elaborate more?
Sure, I can do that. In other words, if the governor's going to meetings and the investors are not named, there's no names on any of the list of who is meeting, justification, no itinerary, no invitation, no document of public purpose. In other words, it's incomplete, I suppose.
The itinerary should be attached.
Everything otherwise should be attached now.
And to who he's going to meet, I don't think it's our, I mean, we don't question who. As long as you say you're meeting an investor or meeting with the governor, I don't know.
Okay.
We don't question that.
So that would be another agency probably would know those things, right? Yeah. Like the administration itself, the executive branch and its people. Okay. One more question. Why did the governor's trip?
Reports?
Okay. Did you ever raise concerns about this? Have you ever questioned it?
No.
Okay. Why not?
As long as the employee submits a travel voucher,
Mhm.
we will accept it and process your travel. The travel voucher is actually, for me personally, is that travel report is for my boss,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I don't know. I,
Is it difficult for government employees, especially around the governors, the administration, to actually raise questions about any of these? Are they afraid to ask these questions? Are they afraid to voice their concerns?
Objection calls for speculation, but if you know,
So noted, Council.
no.
Thank you. I yield.
I hereby recognize Representative Donald Magnolia.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify one of the questions that Rep. Camacho asked in regards to traveling to meet business partners or unnamed investors. So if any one of us, any government employee were to submit a TA with an itinerary and just mention that they're going to meet with an investor, that TA would get approved?
Yes.
No other reason other than to meet with an investor. No questions asked. All you need is an airline booking confirmation number and something.
Yes.
I understand there's an updated travel regs. Is that still the same process today? If I were to submit one right now?
Um, we are just getting on this new travel regulations, and um, we will look at the description. I'm not sure whether, but some of it, I think, I'm not so familiar yet on the new policy.
Okay. Thank you. So clarified. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative Magnolia. At this time, we will we can dismiss the or excuse the witness until we come back on Tuesday at 10 a.m.
okay.
And that schedule works for both of you. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Palacios and Council Gregory. We
you.
sincerely appreciate your cooperation today and going through this with us. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We are back from recess, and then we will go into recess again until Tuesday at 10 a.m. This meeting is hereby in recess.